Greetings, Dimela, Sawubona, Sakpase, Namaste, Upshin, Dubra Otra, Assalamu alaikum, what's up? Buenas noches, bonsoir, what's going on, folks? Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so thrilled to be here tonight. This is season 3, episode 11, and this is going to be some reflections on a trip that I took a couple of months ago. So, welcome to the Doriel Larrier Show. If you do not know who I am, my name is Doriel Ennis Larrier. Larrier's Education and Resource Network, where I plant seeds to help you grow. And I usually have sitting on my couch interesting and influential leaders of the community, of the city, state, the globe. Y'all know how we do. And we talk about things that they do and how they influence and impact the community to live their lives better. Well, tonight, this is going to be a little like sit back, a little laid back reflection moment of a Ghana tour, a Sankofa tour that I took last year this past week. So literally yesterday is the day that myself and the other sisters who will be on the call tonight that we took together. And it is a little bit of a reflection again of a sharing of love and of support for each other. And of course, the person who brought us together, and that person's name we will lift up tonight. So prayerfully, I'm going to be joined definitely by 2 people who are in the room. There might be another person coming on. Of course, when they get here, we'll let you know. Welcome first to Sister Tony. Hey, Sister Tony.
Hey, good evening.
And then Sister Marvina. Hey, Miss Marvina.
Hey, hi everyone.
Hey, welcome. So I need for those people who know how to do this to do this. Hey, good evening. I see my camel folk out there. Hey, what's going on? So I need my stream team as always. I would love for you to like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that. We're here on Facebook and on YouTube. And some of the information you'll be able to see on YouTube, some you'll be able to see on Facebook. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them in the chat and then we will bring them up. As a matter of fact, let me get my phone ready so I could see it on my phone as well. And let's get into this conversation. So for those of you, so Tony and Marvina, just sort of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit. How did I get to meet y'all?
As you said, last year we ventured to the continent of Africa, where we stayed approximately 2 weeks in Ghana, and we met, and we will not get rid of one another.
Literally, we be seeing each other in the street. We see each other at events, and we didn't know one another. That's the really, really important thing. We did not know one another. Well, Tony and Marvin, they knew one another, but we didn't know the other folks in the group. And some of us traveled from very, very long ways, and some of us traveled kind of like across the street. And we really developed an amazing relationship with one another, and it's been a beautiful opportunity. Marvina, you want to give a little word about how we first got connected and how crazy we are now?
Yes, and so just like she said, we didn't know one another, but me and Tony knew each other, and I mean, it was like we knew each other forever. It really was like we knew each other forever, from the time we met in the airport and everybody get together, to get into Morocco, to picking up Gina and meeting the other. We just gelled. And it really was beautiful.
Excellent. So we're going to kind of run down I actually wrote down the things. I think I wrote them down by the day. When we got off the plane, or I think we were going home, I said, man, I really want to talk about these things that we experienced. And so literally I just sort of like wrote down things in my notebook. I have not pulled this notebook out, I don't think, since, but I pulled it out, knew exactly where it was in my little notebook with my Adinkra symbols, very poignant. And here's my whole list. So we're going to kind of like talk about a couple of the things that we did. So first thing, we cannot move forward anymore without acknowledging, without lifting up the name of the person who brought us together. And that is Reverend Richard Honeywell. Reverend Richard Honeywell. I have to take a moment just to like have a moment of silence for him. This is a dear brother to many, many, many people, not just in the Brooklyn area, uh, in the New York area, in the cultural community, in the academic space, in spiritual and religious spaces, particularly in East New York and in Flatbush, and then across the diaspora. Across the diaspora, born and raised in Panama, and then came to the States, went to Brooklyn Tech, and I only really know that because my son went to the same school, and spread his wings and carried people along in his wings to many different places in the diaspora. African Journeys or Africa Journeys is the company that he has run. I almost want to say 20 years. It could be a little bit more, it could be a little bit less. And he has been the tour coordinator and operator for these diasporic travel moments from Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, and I can't name all of them.
Cuba.
Cuba, Ghana, of
Ethiopia.
course,
You said Ethiopia, South
right?
Africa,
South Africa,
Gullah Island.
right? The Gullah Islands. So not just the continent, but the diaspora. He actually has a tour that even went up, I believe, like towards Canada, because there were people who were, doing tours and not tours, but like trails and maybe like I know right down in the Gullah Geechee Islands, Panama, where he's from. Like he literally put his foot and brought people along to follow in his footprint in many places and spaces. And so we could not have this conversation literally without him.
That's right.
And without his energy. And I felt it dearly during this past week, of course, because it kept popping up on my phone and on my Facebook, like, this is where y'all were. This is what y'all did. And so I said, let me just see if I can pull together some of the people. So first thing I want to know is, before we hop into like all the things that we did, we definitely have to mention the names of two people kind of gingerly. So there's Sister Nadine, who might be coming on, and we'll just say Dr. G. Dr. G, listen, there's going to be a lot of conversations about travel and Black women. For the record, if you have never been outside of the continent, child, get your passport, please.
Yes. Get
your passport. And something that Sister Tony and Sister Marvina taught me that I will be doing is getting that global entry.
Yes.
Don't play.
Yeah. Don't play. It works very well.
Okay. I'm going to be getting that global entry. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, right, Dr. G and Nadine were the other two sisters on the trip. Again, we did not know each other, but now literally we felt like sisters and cousins and aunties. So the picture that you see that's on the main banner is a beautiful photo that actually Richard took of us as we were standing. I got to figure out where we were. We were standing at the top of
Cape Coast.
That was Cape Coast.
We were at Cape Coast Dungeon, and we had climbed up to, I think it was sort of like a viewing station, which I had not. This is my second trip to Ghana with African Journeys, but I did not go to this part on my first trip. And the first trip I took with my mom and my sons, and but the relationships and the experiences were just like none other. So I'm gonna sort of like actually give one of the topics, and then let Sister Marvina, Sister Tony sort of like give their reflection of what they remembered. So before we start, what was the plane ride like?
Long.
Some people have not traveled out of the country. Some people have not traveled to Ghana, and they're like, oh my God, it's so long. Oh my God, how are we gonna what was your perspective? Go.
The plane ride, well, it's long. It was long. It helped that we had a layover for the day in Morocco, which gave us a break in travel. For me, I think that the length of the trip, it really did not measure for what my expectations were, because I just I just was worried about getting to Ghana. So it didn't matter about the plane. I was like, we're going to the motherland, and it's gonna be the plane, and I really wasn't there for, like, this, the stewards, because it was an all male crew on. It was all male, remember, all male
Mhm.
crew, and they, you get to realize how colonized we are also, right? So some certain things, certain customs, traditions we're not accustomed to. Um, that was not gonna deter me or make me have any less of a good time. Remember, if y'all remember, my luggage was lost until the day before.
Yeah.
Wait. So okay, I have to jump in on that. After we talk about the things that we did, we have to talk about within it what lesson we took away from it. That's why I said let's start with the plane ride. So what's the lesson that we learned from that?
It didn't matter because I had 2 bags to begin with. Everything I needed was in the bag that I had. The bag that was lost, now, that was my bag that I had school supplies. I had, things that I wanted to give to the children in the town. So while I was like, I was good. Of course, I wanted to change and wear some different shoes, but it just didn't matter. It wasn't that serious for me. I had what I needed. I had what I needed, and that was a small thing. And also, my luggage was insured, so I was reimbursed for that luggage being missing all those days also.
So, oh, thank you. So, someone just said I have to update my passport. Yes, please update the passport. Please
Keep
update
the
the passport.
passports updated.
Yes.
Don't try to be coming on, trying to even get like a visa. Oh my gosh, that's a whole other
Oh,
video
not the
that we have to
visa.
do.
Oh, another thing. But you know what? What was good is that with this group, the way that it went and us, connecting with Reverend Rich, and him explaining, like when you did hit a bump in the road with it, like we were able to talk it out and do it together. So, I mean, it was long nights. It was long nights, me and Tony. Like I'm talking like 1, 2 in the morning, getting this visa thing together, you
Yeah.
know.
And
And
how about like going to the embassy a couple of days before and saying, "Where's my stuff? Where's my stuff?" And sitting there all day. And then at the end of the day, when like we're closing up shop, and I'm like, I'm supposed to leave in 3 days, and I don't have my thing.
Mhm.
The guard at the door says, like, "Oh, what's this?" It was in the outbox. It was in the out, and it had been sitting there. I'm sitting waiting for the people behind the. We can't find it. We don't know where it is.
Mm.
On the happier moments. Okay, so we get there. We get there. We get there. But lesson learned. Lesson number one: make sure that when you carry on the plane, some of your clothes, your little, unmentionables, your stuff that, if God forbid, if like what happened,
Yes.
you can still wear some clothes. Did that happen to me? Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but God bless the people who drove literally halfway across the country to bring my stuff back
That's right.
5 days later.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
get to happier times. We get to Morocco. What happens in Morocco? Our first landing, stepping off the plane. What happens? What happens when we get to Morocco? Who
Well,
wants to share about that?
we go to the what happened? We went to the mosque,
One of
right?
the largest, I think it was the third
Third
largest
third
mosque.
largest mosque in the world,
Yep.
built on the Atlantic Ocean.
Woo!
Mind blowing. Like, how do you build something on the ocean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How do you
So
build that?
smooth. The ground was so smooth it literally looked like marble. And in my mind, you'll see. So shout out to everybody who was very gracious enough to endure my shenanigans throughout this trip, because I had my camera out the whole time. And they're like, another picture, another. I'm like, you don't understand. People want to know what's going on. So if you check out my YouTube channel and just type in Ghana Sankofa Tour on my YouTube channel, you'll find every day, every excursion that we had, I had like about a 15 to 20 minute like explanation vlog of what was going on. But when we saw that, in my head, I'm thinking, if I took a marble and put it on the ground and like just flicked it a little bit, how far would it go? The ground was so smooth, all intricate, tiny tiles. It
Mhm.
blew my mind. Blew my mind how they just flattened the land out,
Yeah.
extended into the water,
Mhm.
extended into the water, and then built this mosque.
Beautiful.
That was
Beautiful.
amazing.
It was beautiful.
That was amazing.
Absolutely gorgeous. So, what about the dress code? What was that like? Who remembers? We had to, so we couldn't. Um, so I had my notes were dress code, the mosque history, and the carpet exhibit. So we couldn't. We had to walk into two separate doors.
Mm-hmm.
So when I rewatched the video the other day, I remember saying, "Okay, we're going." I was whispering because I'm like, "I think we should be quiet going into a mosque, right?" I'm like, "We're going into the mosque," and then the guy says, "No, no, 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 no! You take your shoes off. You can't go in there. You have to go in that door." And of course, me and my, you
Yeah.
know, American womanist mind, I'm like, "What you mean I can't go in the door? I can go in the door I want to go into.
Yeah.
What you talking about?" And then I was like, "You, this ain't your place.
Yeah,
Go
Yeah.
where I'm gonna tell you to go.
Yeah.
Don't fuss.
absolutely.
Nobody know how to get you out."
Yeah. We certainly
Right,
did because
right.
it was our first time.
Yeah.
But
So
you know what I like though? I like that even though that's what it was, I love the covering, you know, and the patience. So that Reverend Rich, the relationship that he fostered in these places. And so the gentleman Muhammad, he didn't, he just was gentle though. He was
yeah,
gentle. He was gentle, you know,
yes,
and
yeah,
that was so nice. It was so nice, you know. He knew
definitely.
that we didn't know.
Excellent, excellent. So we learned about like the mosque history, of course, the different places that people had to be in the mosque. So all the men they could be on the lower level, and again, you'll see all these videos on my YouTube channel. And so that was the first day. Um, the men could be on the lower level, and then the women had to basically sit up. If you grew up in a church, they was in the balcony. The women had to sit in the balcony. The women and children had to sit in the balcony.
Yeah,
Uh, I remember the sort of the bathrooms or the washing stations or the cleansing stations were like on opposite sides. So the men's cleansing
Yes.
station was on one whole side of the mosque, and then the women had a whole other. But it almost looked like I think the word is natatorium. It almost looked like a sauna space, or like if you go into a gym, like a like if you go into a gym, let's say like a LA Fitness or whatever, and the place that you would go to sort of change your clothes and take showers.
yeah.
So I was like, wait, are people taking a shower? Or are they just like washing their hands? But because of the whole rituals of cleansing the head and the hands and the feet, the space was so immense for people
Mhm.
to do that cleansing practice. Again, it was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Um,
But
so
when the bathroom, I'm sorry, the bathroom, when we first went down there, when we said we had to go to the bathroom, it was so funny because there was holes in the floor. Do you remember that?
yes, yes,
And we all looked like, oh, we can't go to that.
what is that
As
for?
we backed out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I do appreciate Muhammad. Something clicked for him also at that time. Like,
Yes.
oh wait, we have to take them to the guest room,
Yeah.
right? Because then it was like he forgot too. Because like when
Yes.
we realized culturally there was that difference.
Yeah. 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 And he was again gentle about it.
Very patient. I'm like, y'all didn't do your homework. You should have found out before you got here. Don't be. I love it. I love it.
Yes. Yeah.
So we leave the mosque, and and then we go to Old Medina.
That was amazing.
It how it, to me it was so timeless. It was as if we were watching one of the, and I'll only reference like the 007 movies because that's the first image I have in my mind of a
Mhm.
Sean Connery movie,
Yeah.
007, old 007, where he's like on the motorcycle and he's dodging through, and the clothing that's hanging kind of like whisks it into
Yes,
place.
yes.
Yes.
As soon as we started going down that cobblestone street, I looked up and I said, wait a minute, how they take this out of the 007 movies? And then the guy said, no, this is the original Old Medina. It hasn't changed in 400 years. I said, get out of town. 400.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
400 years? The same doors.
The same doors.
The
Yeah.
same like rafts at the top.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I,
That was amazing.
I
I
Yeah.
mean,
mean,
just untouched, untouched. So at the end of the old Medina market, then the olives. Who
the
remembers the
olive
olives?
market, the
Olives.
spices, and that was amazing also. I
Yes.
mean, they must have had 1,039 different olives.
Different ones.
And I remember saying, "Excuse me, I just know black olives and green olives."
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
No.
There
Red
was
olives
I
and
say 50, 11 different type of olives.
Yep.
It was
Yep.
just beautiful. And
the
just this
spices, everything. It's just like
it
it's a
was
lot. It was a
untouched.
lot to take in.
Untouched. I remember the uh somebody was like, okay, like how much do you want? And I'm not really an olive person, but I was like, all right, I'm here, let me try it. And they had the olives on the top, and then the oil from that particular olive was in the drum beneath. And so I'm like, that's deep. Like, okay. So then they go to weigh it, and I'm looking. I have to say I was being a little snooty at this moment, but I'll tell you why. Because the scale that they were weighing them on were like scales that you use, I guess, 150 years ago.
Yeah.
Old, not old, excuse me. It was antique. It was antique, and people were literally weighing the items with. For me to say weight is not enough.
Well, that's what I was thinking, but I was
Yeah.
thinking weight.
Let's, I'm trying to think of something. Let's just say, okay, let's just say my mouse is like 5 pounds, right? And so, not 5 pounds, let's say 10 grams, whatever. And so they would put a set and then another set in order to. I said, y'all don't got a regular scale, but then who am I? I'm in a country. I was like, that's beautiful. And they're looking at me like, so
Yes.
what do you do? You don't have
What do
scale like
you
that?
use?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
So beautiful experience. And
Mhm.
then from there we went to the carpet exhibit. Who wants to talk about the carpet exhibit? I got a whole video on that.
I'm gonna sit right back here.
Yeah, you put the video because it was an experience. It was an experience.
So hopefully this will be a reel or something. If you want to go to Morocco, you have to go to an art and a rug exhibition. That's what it was called, an exhibition.
Mm.
You have to go to a rug exhibition. But let me tell you something. You look at me. Let me tell you something. First of all, you got to be ready. If you're from Brooklyn, you know how to handle this. Let me just say that. If you're from Brooklyn, you know how to handle this. Okay?
Yes.
If you're not from Brooklyn, okay? First of all, if you're going to buy a rug, you better have some serious coins.
Yes.
Have some serious coins. If you're not interested in buying a rug, but you're interested in the rug experience, great. Enjoy the tea. The tea is fabulous.
Tea was good.
Tea
Tea
was
was good.
real good.
They this
Yeah.
beautiful fresh mint leaf tea. They pour it out of the tiny decanters for you into the tiny little cups. You feel like you're a princess. You feel like you're a princess, okay? But that rug exhibition is going to take about 2 hours. But it's worth it because you hear the stories of all the women up in the mountains
Yep.
who make the rugs, and
Mm-hmm.
see that the
Handcrafted.
designs match what you just saw in the mosque. And then you look and you're like, Oh snap! Did not see that. Yes, these women holding the alpaca llamas and da da da. They make these rugs. It's a beautiful experience. But if you really, really, really seriously go to Morocco in order to purchase a rug, they will tell you, and it's a dance. It's a dance on how much you gonna pay. I'm gonna just tell you, it's a dance. You got to know how to do
Break
the.
dance. It's a break dance.
Listen, it's a great
Right
dance.
now.
If you ever did any deals on Delancey Street, that's what I'm saying. If you from New York,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
or you did any deals up in Harlem or 125th Street or 125th Street, then you know how to deal with the situation.
But if that's not your thing,
Yes.
enjoy the show.
And just,
Yeah. Just sit and enjoy it and enjoy the tea.
right, and they will ship it to you. You don't even have to worry about how I'm gonna carry it back. They're gonna tell you right away. We got it. We I'm not gonna be stereotypical. Let's just say we have a way to ship it to you right outside the door. We got you. We got you. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
They recently had a real with Oprah at the same carpet place.
Yes. The same
Yeah,
exact
we
place.
were at.
Yes.
Oh, you were sitting right where I was sitting, sis. Oh, in the same
I'm saying
place.
she brought a rug. She brought a rug.
she listen. Hmm. Her money a little different than ours.
Yeah,
Just
a
say
little bit, a little bit.
that.
A little bit. Okay. So that was Morocco, and the food, of course, the food was divine.
The food was amazing.
The food was divine. You have to be, accustomed to a little bit of spice and like a lot of vibrant colors. Um,
Mhm,
the very
mhm.
tasty. You can smell the different spices. Even though, let's say, we know what paprika is here, paprika in Morocco just a
Yeah.
little bit different.
Different.
A little bit different,
Yes.
but
Yes.
gorgeous.
Yes.
So our next excursion was the next day. So we came in. First of all, we came into Morocco at about like 7 a.m. or something like that. So we stayed all day in Morocco, and then we had to go back to the airport. I think our flight was like 11
Yeah,
o'clock
something
night
like
or
that.
something like that.
Yeah.
So we must have gotten to the airport about 9 p.m. and
Mhm.
then got on the plane, whatever, 11 or no, maybe 12 or something like that. And then we got to Ghana the next day, like about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
And then the first thing that we go to is, or the first thing I have is Kumasi Market, which I don't think that's the first thing we did. I think
So
we
we
did,
went to breakfast
We
first,
went to breakfast.
right. And then,
and then we checked. Did we? No. Then we may have gone to the market.
Yeah.
I think we went to the market after that.
okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk. Okay, so let's talk about the Kumasi Market, which was a sight to behold. So I'll give a tiny little backstory on the Kumasi market. The Kumasi market that you all saw is different than the Kumasi market that I saw. So the Kumasi market that I saw, and people know I talked about this whole experience a couple of years ago. Just imagine like 10 football fields
Hmm.
all connected together, like just miles and miles.
Mhm.
And then again, we're all from New York, the New York area. So you almost have to think of, I'm gonna think of it like a Brooklyn place, Church and Flatbush, Church Avenue and Flatbush Avenue on a Saturday afternoon,
Hmm.
Good.
and then multiply that by like 10,000.
Mhm.
10,000.
You just have to, swivel your way through countless stalls of beautiful people selling basically the same seven things. They selling yam, somebody's selling tomatoes, somebody's selling the tin pot, somebody's selling cloth, somebody's selling like the soap with the water bottles, somebody's selling a little bit of the other thing, the fish,
Fish,
basically that, and then the nuts. Like there's always these nuts.
nuts, the
And oh, child, can't forget about the shea butter.
shea butter.
Can't
Mm.
forget about the shea butter.
In the back alley.
But what's beautiful is that everybody kind of knows who to go to in that. So there's brand loyalty. I love that. It was brand loyalty. So
Yeah.
even though every third stall was basically kind of like the same thing,
Mhm.
we all had the same question in our head: how they making money? But no, it didn't appear like people were going home hungry. So if it takes you 15 minutes to get into the center from one end of the market to the other to go to find that person, that's the person who you gonna get your yam from and your tomatoes and your ginger and your garlic.
Yes.
Absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The market that you all saw took all of that and condensed it into almost like a mini stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So what you saw was in almost like an industrial type of, like it would be like almost a place that we see in Canarsie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in the industrial space, and like a warehouse, a huge warehouse.
Yeah.
They just sort of cleared it out, made kind of levels, and then stuck everyone in these.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
I felt actually really, I felt sad about that because that means only the people who are now within this place have covering, because of course it's blazing hot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then, like, where are the other people? So from an economical perspective, I actually had questions about that. But our tour guide, John, let's give a shout out to John Sludge Tours. John Sludge Tours. John, brother John, amazing.
Yes.
He sort of, guided us through. So what did you think about Tony and Marvina? What did you think about the whole market experience? And what are you connected to that you have experienced here in as New Yorkers?
Mm. The market was very overwhelming, right? I thought the market was very overwhelming. It's almost like you have to shift your mindset a little bit
Mm-hmm.
to prepare for it,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I can't compare it to anything that I hear, but in the Bahamas, they used to have, like, in the Bahamas and in New Orleans, they both have something similar, very
Mm-hmm.
similar, where it's like a flea market. I mean, yeah, it just kind of like reminds me. If I had to say, it would be a flea market here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but there's a different type of love haggling,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's love haggling. It
Yeah. Yeah.
but
About that.
but like you said, being from being from Brooklyn and a child born and raised, um, I have a lot of compassion for them, because if we don't buy, they don't make money.
They
Yeah.
don't. Yeah.
So even if you look at the setup of the market, right? Well, you only have a certain amount of time. You don't stay at the market all day,
Mm-hmm.
but you wanna be a blessing to those vendors. But if we're here, if we get off our little car, van, bus over here, and we may only, you need to be a little strategic. That means that everybody that comes, they may only get to go to the first four
Right.
lanes, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
Right.
people at the far end, they may not get to see people as much as the first people in the front.
Yeah.
Right.
So it makes me say, like, for the next time, I will start in the back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. 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 Right.
From an economical standpoint, because maybe those people don't get as much business
Mm-hmm.
as the first people you see, and then you're excited, right? We know Harlem. We know the old 125th
That's
Street.
right. The old Mart 125.
That's
Yes.
right. So
Right.
it's like, oh, I need all the kente cloths I can get. I need all the earrings I can get. I got kids. I got family. I got friends. We got to get everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's that's one thing I would have done a little different. But I mean, you know, and we always auntie, right? Auntie come,
Yeah. Yeah.
auntie, and you feel like you auntie. You really feel like you
Yeah.
auntie.
We
Sister, come.
feel like it.
Sister, you must see. Come try this on. I have your size.
I'm
Oh,
here.
here's the top.
Yes.
Don't go to that, sister. No, 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 no. Come.
Yes. And the welcome home.
Welcome home.
Welcome home.
Glad to see you.
That yes. It was just, oh my goodness. It was so comfortable.
Much love. Much love in the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Much love in the room. Okay, so let's talk about something that was a little bit that had a little energy, and that was the canopy walk.
Man. Somebody, if I had a known ahead of time, that That right there. If I had a known and given the option, we was all excited because it was something to see, something to do.
I did it.
Feel like we got up there and they explained what it was. Lord knows I wanted to turn around. It was a great experience, but I will never do it again.
For those of you who do not know, we're talking about the canopy walk. We went to a rainforest, and just imagine, like, I think it's actually 7 canopies.
Yeah.
So, first of all, you got to spend about like a good 20 minutes or something like that walking up into to the top of the rainforest, to the to the top of canopies. It had to have been about 2 miles. By the time we got up there, it felt like we had run 10 miles. It felt we were dripping sweat, dripping sweat. We just like, man, how do these tour guys do it like every day? They're just like, oh yeah, come on, come on, come on, come on. And I have to say, I kid you not, I did the same tour 5, 6 years ago. I don't know what kind of flashbacks I was having, but I remember the same branch across the road. Like, that branch is still there. Oh my goodness! And I tripped over it then. I tripped over it this time. We get to the top with dripping sweat. Now I know what's going on. They don't know, and I'm just like, just get ready. Just telling you now, get ready, get ready. And then I was like, listen, you don't have to do this part. You could do like the first one, and then you decide to come off. They were like, they got across the first one. They were like, nah, I can do the next one. I'm like, you sure? Okay, no turning back. Once you step up, no turning back. They were like, oh my goodness. Canopy walk over the rainforest, beautiful. But of course, people are like, why is this thing moving? Don't look down.
Don't look straight ahead.
You look straight ahead. You can do it.
Keep moving.
And if you remember, I went first because I didn't want to be in the middle because I knew that it was going to be a little shaky. I said, absolutely not. I'm going to go ahead first.
She ran.
Yeah, bye. I got to get across. I didn't want to be a part of the shakiness, so I went first. Meet you on the other side.
Like, I'm gonna do this and get it over with.
Oh man, but it was a bit.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it was a beautiful experience, and the pictures they literally felt like we were in like a National Geographic magazine.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was just awe-inspiring. Now, for those of you who are amazing travelers, if y'all do this all the time, God bless you. But for people who are doing it for the first time, woo, child. All right. Let's do the next excursion. How about the Du Bois house? The W.E.B. Du Bois house.
That was really interesting because I really just started learning more about who W.E. Du Bois was. And to be there, I think that I was mesmerized by the books. Right? There's like over 1,800 books or something there in the library. And I was like, wow, what type of that's a wealth of knowledge. And for him to be buried there on the grounds. Just like
that room was something.
Yeah.
It was something. Like you felt the presence. You felt the presence there.
I made sure that I took the presentation by I'll call it the sharer or the person who was doing the presentation. I took the entire presentation. I put it up on my YouTube channel. So for those of you who are like, hey, what happened? What did she say? What's the history behind it? Go to the YouTube channel. You can see it. So that was, again, just a phenomenal opportunity that we had. So I want to talk a little bit about money management. If you were to give anybody like a tip about how to handle your money, going to on this particular trip, going to Ghana in a different country with a different amount of, different currency exchange, what kind of coordination or tips would you give? So you cut Tony, you kind of talked about it a little bit when we talked about when we talked about um, preparing preparing and like where to go in the market, and of course like not to in essence drop all your coins in the first place. Be
Right.
strategic. Be
Right.
strategic.
And I think also just I'd rather spend it there, right, than spend it at Macy's. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Um, I realized like they work really hard. They work hard, and our money goes a lot further there.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? Right? Why not? And I didn't mind, I didn't mind getting more money like to spend because I was like, I had it to spend, and I can't take it with me. So I'd rather spend it with them than spend it in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying, you know. Um,
That again.
I and what the things that some of the stuff that we brought, like I know, like if we brought it here up in Harlem, it would be triple, quadruple the price.
Yes.
So it was worth it. It was worth it. But you do have to figure like where are you going? Where else will you be? What else will you potentially spend your money on?
Mm-hmm.
Like some things, like I personally I wouldn't buy the wood things because I know there's some places importers that are here that you could get carvings and things, but I didn't feel bad about spending any of the money. And our tour guide on the other side, John, changed our money, and
Yeah.
we went to the bank.
Yeah.
We was going through some money. We went to
Excuse
the
me,
bank.
wait. Oh my goodness. How
And
many
you
times
didn't
did we say
feel bad about it at all. Yeah.
where's,
It was like, okay.
where's the ATM? I got
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah. Yeah. We made
No,
two trips,
three
didn't
extra times. 2 or 3 extra times.
we?
I did. I did.
Yes.
Because we knew let's just say we're talking about cloth, and we're gonna talk about it later, like we all bought some cloth.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say that cloth here, for a full piece, and for those who don't know, a full piece would be a full cloth is 6 yards.
Mhm.
Let's say a full cloth, let's just say it would cost $80. Let's just say it would cost
Right.
$80 here. There. Oh, now of course it's CDs, so CDs are different than US dollars. But let's just say it would maybe 15,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
equivalent of 15 US.
Yeah.
Child, how much can we carry? Let me get another suitcase.
We need another bag. And
You
we did need another bag.
did need another bag. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. Yes, be strategic. I had in my notes, I said budget, be intentional, consider incidentals and accidentals.
Yes. Yes.
There are fees. There are fees in. Oh, so wait. So Tony, you have a fan of Lignesh.
Who's that?
Is that? Oh, wait, hold on a second. Do you know who that is?
No,
Or
I don't know.
okay, not a problem. All right.
Right now.
We'll do that. Oh, got it. Got it. I got it. So the currency. If there are fees at the ATM, just so you know, there are little fees at the ATM. They're not exorbitant, but there are little fees at the ATM.
Yeah.
Currency to be converted at the site, right? So you can either convert your dollars or your money, dollars to CD here. You can convert it when you get to the airport on their side, or you can convert it like once you get into the town. Which, if you're gonna convert it when you get to the town, just know somebody, okay? Don't be
Yeah.
trying to do it on your own. whoever your tour guide is, if you're gonna go solo, if you're not gonna go with a tour group,
Yes.
I would suggest that you exchange your money at the airport.
At the
Yeah.
airport.
At the
Yeah.
airport. Don't be
Yeah.
waving out. That ain't wise. But if you
Yeah.
have a tour guide who really knows, like, the special places to go get your money done.
Again, that was the beauty of how Reverend Rich planned everything. That really just goes back to him. Like it was so well organized, so well planned out. Everything that we might have asked for, they, oh my goodness, between him and the guys that he connected with, they just made it happen. They catered to us. It was just amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. And I doubt, I'm not sure if anything could compare to what we had, the experience, how, from the flight, the food, the money exchange, the places that we went to shop. I have to say, really shout out to Reverend Rich, how it was well organized. It was well planned, you
Excellent.
know.
He's
So
definitely done his due diligence. And so again, we want to say thank you to him and to his spirit. And I feel, because I'm reliving everything, which is why I was very moved to have this conversation. Because again, all of the videos, all of the pictures popped up into my feed because it happened last week. So it's like, that 1 year anniversary. And I'm just like, wow, I cannot let another day go by without taking a moment to sort of reflect upon the experience. Um, some of them were very personal, moments that each of us had, and we'll talk about that in the next couple moments. And some of them were collective. Like again, most of us didn't know one another, but we gelled. We got into each other's business. Like we got into each other's business, and it was also a curated tour because all of us were women, with the exception of Rich and Honeywell. Everybody else was female, and so he actually asked prior to the trip. He said, "Listen, I really have to think about how to curate this trip differently. Like, what are certain things that we could do that would really appease and focus on, it's just women." And so I was like, well, how about like maybe a personal cooking moment, or a moment that we could sort of learn
Mm-hmm.
how to prepare certain things that,
mhm.
for the most part, we'll say like, just give me fufu to pound and I'm good. Give me
I
some
am
fufu to pound.
too.
All I need. That's all I need. Or,
Mm,
L'Oreal and the fufu.
that was
L'Oreal was the fufu queen.
yes,
The
that was
fufu
her
queen.
fix, boy.
Yeah. The fufu queen.
Yes,
all
yeah,
I needed was fufu. I just came in for the fufu. I really came in
And
for
I think that it was initially when this trip was planned, there were about 18 people that were supposed to go.
the.
And for whatever reasons, they pulled out, leaving only us. And I'm very grateful because um, Richard could have canceled the trip.
yeah.
Because when you plan a trip for 18 people, it looks very different than a trip for 5 people,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you think about planning and what it looks like, lodging. And so, some things were changed a little bit the last minute, but it still wasn't a bother. But
Mhm.
even that, it felt very God ordained in that way that
Yes.
we, sometimes you go away with people you don't really know them, and you're like, this girl over here, this one over there, but it just
Mhm.
everything fell right into place.
Mhm.
Right. And I
It
think
felt
actually, if we had more people, we would not have gelled the way we did.
Yeah,
There's
it would have
always,
been a different experience.
right, right. There's always going to be, like okay, like the two of you, like you already had a familiarity before, you're already
Mhm.
friends prior. So it's just like, so the other three of us who kind of didn't know, but you morph into a like a side conversation, and you gel about one thing. You morph into
Mhm.
another thing, you gel about nothing. Um, so I'm gonna and but it all was very cohesive when we were, of course,
Yes.
group with the group excursions. So I'm gonna mention two other things, and then we definitely have to talk about remember so just health and wellness on the trip. Remember what happened at the airport and on the plane? Health and wellness, where Dr. G had to act like a doctor.
Oh yeah.
So, okay, hold on, but we have to cover that. We have to cover that. So, if there's nothing else that anybody gets from this trip or gets from this conversation, it's pre- how to prepare, whether you're going solo or whether you're going with a group. Even though your business is your business, there are certain things. If you have any health concerns, it is vital for you to communicate that to your tour operator, to your tour guide, and if, let's say, you're rooming with someone, just so that people kind of know certain things that could possibly that they people could possibly be or need to be aware of. So how about we do that, and then we do our whole Brenu Beach experience,
Oh.
and then going to Cape Coast, and we probably like wrap up with that. Although we having a good time. We having a good time. We having a good time. All right. So how about we talk about Brenu Beach?
Oh, Auntie Agnes.
Auntie Agnes. Auntie Agnes. It's Auntie Agnes. So again, if you are planning on going to Ghana, please go to Brenu Beach. Brenu Beach, Brenu Beach. It is an amazing, very down home resort right on the beach. You come out of your hotel room or your little like cabin. What it took maybe 3 minutes to walk from your front step to the beach, and that's if you walking slow and you try not to bump into the ducks and the goats along the way.
Yes. Don't forget the goats.
That's
the goats. Don't forget the goats.
So who wants to talk about Auntie Agnes? You need to go see Auntie Agnes at Brenu Beach. You need to.
So Breno Beach probably was my favorite place. I could stay with Auntie Agnes on Breno Beach for a month.
For the whole trip.
Yeah.
I could stay for a month. Breno Beach stirred a lot of emotions for me. But that was the last stop on our tour. And it was a place for reflection, rest,
refuge,
everything. It was just a place to be still. And I found it to be so amazing, right? Like we hear and we read stories about our oral tradition, but to experience it, to listen to Auntie Agnes tell us about her life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her life wasn't an easy life. Like it was not an easy life at all. But to see that she came out, a victor, it was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, I'm indebted to her. You know, her staff. Whatever we wanted, like if we wanted something, they made it happen.
I'm gonna make sure she sees this. So yes, Auntie Agnes, we love you. We love you.
They just made it happen. Like I felt safe. The water felt super calm. And I've talked to a lot of people who have gone to Ghana and they've told me like they felt like the water was really rough. And I was like, well, we all do have different experiences, but that water felt like it said it is all everything is fine.
Peace is
and you are safe here.
Mm-hmm.
It really did.
Mm-hmm.
Really did.
There was some beautiful meditative moments on the beach. Like I know myself, Nadine, and Richard, at different times of the early morning, we sort of gave each other space, but we were on the beach at 6 a.m. or so. And being on the beach at, again, like 6 a.m. in the morning, the fog is just lifting.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody on the beach. And then you look down and you see one woman off in the distance. Like it literally looked like it came out of a postcard. And she's just walking and walking, and you see this figure, very tiny and then getting larger and larger and larger. And you're like, oh, she has a hat? No. She has like a tray on her head with like stacks of big yam, like the size of like tree branches on her head. How you walking 2 miles of a beach and not nary one of those things falls off? And you're standing there in awe, and you're like, in slow motion, and you just walking, and she don't turn, say nothing to you. She just keep walking, and it's clearly it takes you watching for like a good half hour from one end into the other end, and then the other end you see the Cape Coast dungeon, from the where you're at this resort. If you go and you go to Cape Coast, you must go to Brno Beach. You must go to Brno
Yeah.
Beach.
Yeah.
Um, Again, beautiful experience. Felt comfortable. They made can I say that the same brother who cut down those coconuts for us this time? He's the same brother that was there 5 years ago when I was.
Wow.
I kid you
Wow.
not.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
The same brother. So loyalty, legacy, whatever you want to call it, but that's the same brother that I saw 5 years ago. Um,
Now I will say this: when we checked in there, right, it was late, so it was dark.
let Tell the truth. Go ahead.
Laugh where you are. Laugh where you are.
That was an experience.
We checked in; it was really dark, and you
It was
couldn't see
pitch black.
nothing.
It was pitch
All
black.
we heard the waves crashing, the waves. And when you start using your imagination and you start thinking about the ancestors, and you start thinking about those ships leaving those ports, and it's dark. It was dark. When we put the chair up to the door, because we from Brooklyn, right? We from Brooklyn. Said, hey, come in here if you want to. We
You
don't
look
care.
out the window. No, you look out the window. I ain't looking out there.
We did have to make sure that each person, like, no, I'm gonna walk you to your door. You good? You good? All right. So now you watch me walk. You watch me walk to my door. Okay, you okay? And then it's like, what's that person standing at the
It
end of the?
was the man with the shotgun for me.
So let's disclaimer. That was the security staff.
That's the
Yeah,
security.
the security.
Literally walked like a sentinel. That's the best way to say it.
That's
Yeah.
the best way.
There, and he sat on the end of the row, but literally he would walk literally back and forth
Yeah.
across all the across all of the cabins,
Garden cabins.
making sure we was straight.
Yes.
And I appreciate that. And I
Yeah.
think too, if you've never gone before, it's just important to know it's not your it may not be what you're typically used to when you travel. So you can't go looking for the Marriott, or you're looking for you
Yes.
know
Yes.
the
Big,
Western,
big.
right? It's not that,
Yes.
right?
It's
There's
not
a
that
switch
at
to
all.
make the water hot, right? You can't use the water to brush your teeth, right? There's some things but it's just if if you take a little, if you could humble yourself, it's amazing.
It's an experience that everyone should have. And again, this is another disclaimer. People can spend their money the way they want to spend their money.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Mm-hmm.
One should not have to, and I'll say this with love, feel like they have to subject themselves to moments of what for most would be considered discomfort. Now, this is not a moment because there are some people who still have not traveled out of the United States, let alone travel to Africa, let alone travel to the place that they see on television
Mm-hmm.
versus what it actually is. We slept in hotels and we slept in like mini cabins, but the cabins were in essence like think of like a studio apartment. Think of it that way, like a studio apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And they were clean,
Mm-hmm.
they were well ventilated, there
Yep.
was running water and there was a shower, and there was a commode inside of the property.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? With running water. Nobody had to go fetch fetch from stream, fetch from the hole, get water from the well. We didn't have to do that.
Right.
Not at all. Not at all. It was well kept, like you said. It
Yes.
was it was well kept.
Well kept. So I definitely wanted to just say that because some people like, did you sleep outside? No. No.
No.
No.
Mhm.
All right.
You know something too?
Yes.
The bugs, right?
Oh, our bugs?
How the bugs. I'm gonna say because that was a big thing about you know is make sure that you have all of your bug repellent and all of that stuff and
We didn't even.
a lot of scare for
We
no
didn't need it. We really didn't need it.
no
We were fine.
no
Yeah, I mean,
There's more freaky bugs here than there were over there.
yeah
Like, there's more freaky things we've been seeing here than over there. Trust me.
no there yes yes it wasn't
right, a
all
little salamander, a little like I guess like a big moth. That was like the most scariest thing, and it wasn't even scary. It's like, wow, that's kind of big, but okay, I've seen you outside of that.
yeah
Yeah,
no
you can go to other places. You can go to the other side of the street and see again, like scary thing.
right scarier bugs here than there it
Oh
was it
gosh.
wasn't that
So next to Breno Beach was the Breno Beach School.
Mhm.
Want to talk a moment about all of our little additional like nieces and nephews and grandbabies?
yes
The Breno Beach School. So attached to Breno Beach, sort of literally as you're coming into the the space, you pass a school. It's called the Breno Beach School. Um, when I attended 5 6 years ago, we were extremely moved. I think this was the example that a number of people will see on, like, will see on television, will see in the international and world uh, marketing about certain parts of the continent and certain parts of socioeconomic status and class system. And so the Brenu Beach or the Brenu School, it's actually called Brenu Achimin. There we go, Achimin. And it's a preschool. So children from about the age of 2 to 5 attend the school. And I'm in education. That's my trade. And from an educational standpoint, and I'm also part of a missional organization. So my church, we're missionaries, and from a missional standpoint, an educational standpoint, it literally feels like time has stood still. And I'll say that, and there's a balance with that. So what you sometimes see on television of children whose families, let me say it this way, whose families sacrifice and they work really, really, really hard to make sure that their children can get an education because education is you have to pay for it. There are certain governmental schools, but a lot of times families have to pay. Some of us were, I've seen it before, I've been there before, but we were a bit surprised, some of us, that some children were there and they had their uniform on. Some children had shoes on, some children did not have shoes on.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, they were all very, very well mannered, as we in our community, we raise our children to be well mannered and well respected. And so when we stepped into the space, it was almost like someone turned the light switch on and they were like, oh, we have guests. And they went into their spaces and, they were encouraged to, greet us appropriately. And, of course, with a level of respect, they had, some little welcome songs that they sung to us. And it was a beautiful moment, but it's always that moment that kind of tugs at my heart. Because we look at places that we are born into and spaces that we're born into. And at that moment, every single one of us felt, I'll speak for myself, but I can see it on the faces of all of us, that we felt a moment of wow, I have a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Mhm.
I have a lot. I don't think I can go home the same way. I think I will, of course, go, go hug my children and make sure that they have. But I know that my children, how I raised my children, I've given my children a lot based on what I've been able to work for. And then there are others where their families work a lot. And if there's a moment where you, as someone who can share, even if it's just sharing on this side of the Atlantic, then find a school or a preschool or an after school program or something like that, or a girls group or a boys group or some sort of a mentoring group to make sure that you can take that, which is most likely more than what we really need, and share it with somebody who could use an extra little boost.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, it tugs in my heart. It tugs in my heart. So
Yeah.
True.
they they did not have, they had a screen TV this time, so they didn't have that when we were there 5 years ago. So, and I know Richard, in his efforts at like fundraising and supporting the school, we were able to, I think we actually raised some money to definitely to bring some books, and we actually may have put one of those TVs in there because we
Yeah.
was, when we saw it the first time, we were like,
Okay.
we got to do something. We
Yeah.
got to do something. So
Yeah.
beautiful experience.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on that?
No,
No.
we covered it.
Yeah.
What's the next thing? So we talk about the either the Kente village or go to Cape Coast Dungeon or like Asin Mansell, the last bath. Those are the last two
Uh,
I have written down.
whichever.
Mm.
The dungeon
Dungeon was a lot.
was it was probably a lot of what I thought it would be. Certain things surprised me a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if I should say surprised, but to see that church in the center of their holding facility, um, church put together by the Portuguese, uh,
Mhm.
the scriptures throughout the dungeon, right? Over the doorways and things, there was scripture.
Mhm.
Um, really, I'm just really grateful that I have to say that I'm grateful because Reverend Honeywell and I, we met at St. Paul Community Baptist Church. So I am ever grateful for our experience there, our teaching that we had under our former pastor, Bishop Johnny Ray Youngblood. I am ever grateful that we learned about the Black presence in the church, and we knew, like there's so much that goes on. Uh, Black folks sometimes get a bad rap for still being in the church because of the impact of what happened. Um, so just being there, just to still be able
Hmm.
to smell. Like,
Hmm.
I had to step out and give myself permission to take a moment. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
one thing that I understood different, and I don't know what I was thinking before, but to be in Ghana and to understand better that where the ships were docked, like people had to walk from wherever they were captured. So like I always tell people, that's one of the things I tell people. So let's say the ships were at Coney Island. If you're familiar with Brooklyn,
Right.
you may have been captured in Lower Manhattan, and you may have had to walk there. You may have been captured in Bedford Stuyvesant, and you had to walk there. You wasn't walking. They ain't had no sneakers, and so that for me was very like, our
Mhm.
people survived this. Like we we can survive. We good. We
Mhm.
good because we took the same stuff in our DNA. But to think that some survived and some said, "Yeah, no, I ain't taking this free trip."
Right.
Mhm.
I'm
I'm
go
out.
ahead. I'm go ahead and get in this. I'm not going. So that was a lot. That was a lot to process. That was a lot, and I'm glad we went there later in the trip.
Mm-hmm.
If we had gone there in the beginning, yeah, you know, I was able to process better. You know, which is I think you know American education. They give us where our people were enslaved. That's typically what they give us. That's the beginning of Black history. They don't give us kings and queens,
Mhm.
right? But we got the kings and the queens. We got that. So I think that it was perfectly set at the right time, and it was that place was a lot. That place was really really a lot.
Marvina, what are your thoughts?
Um, the same thing. Um, it just for a minute when you walked in there, um, you could feel,
Hmm.
you could really feel um, what was happening there or what had happened there.
Hmm.
And then when they started explaining it, it just brought it all back to life, right? And had to walk out of there. Again, the smell, the scent. And once they said and explained what it was,
Yeah.
you know, just to think that another human being could do this to another human being, you know, um, and under the auspice again of the church, because again, that just right across the courtyard was a place where they was having church, you know, um, and to think that right there in the quarters, how especially the women, you know, how they would shuffle up to the, you know, I don't want to call them the master because,
Uh,
you know, but you know, they was shuffling them up the little,
right.
you know,
Up the
um,
little back stairs,
Hmm.
quarters
Hmm.
it was
Hmm.
a lot.
for a little visit.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it was a lot. It was a lot to think that you could not consider these people as human beings, but you could do that, you know. So it was a whole lot. And
One
then
thing.
the
Go ahead,
small
Vina. I'm sorry.
room, the small room that they kept them in. That was another with the little bit of breathing space up at the top, right? And you just stuffed them in there like a meat locker, you know. It was a lot. It was definitely a lot, you know.
On this trip, we just focused on Cape Coast Dungeon, and I am this time being intentional by not using the word as we've seen other, I'll say, keep cultural griots, not using the word castle because there's no castle esque about it. This is a dungeon. It is a dungeon,
Yes.
and so this trip, uh, Minister Honeywell just focused on Cape Coast Dungeon. The trip that I was on a few years ago, we went to Elmina and Cape Coast. So we were overwhelmed. We were overwhelmed, by the passage and the how we had to sort of dock in order to get. And if people don't know what we're talking about, if you've never been, uh, the scent that you're going to smell, it doesn't smell. Let's just be. I'm going to be very direct. It doesn't smell like you're going to a stable, and you're smelling it, but there is a faint scent that you're not like, ooh, but you're like, wow, what
Just
is that?
yes.
Right? And there is a dampness
Hmm.
in the space because the
Hmm.
space literally is on the water. It is,
Hmm.
in essence, perched, one may say, let's say, on a cliff, and then the ocean is below it. And ships, yes, will come in essence dock right up to this tiny passage. And so when you go to see um, the door of no return, and you go through this, it's like a funnel. You go through this big space, and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and then the last space that each person comes out of is literally, and I'm, some people may consider me a small person,
Yeah.
even I have to kind of like squish together in order to get a duck, and I'm only
Mhm.
about 5'1", and I have to kind of duck to get through this space. And when I come out of this tiny little portal, I am literally entering onto a ship. So yes, people back in the room don't really know what's past that space, but when
Mhm.
they get to that door and they see, they're like, "Wait, we're at the ocean, and we're getting, what is that thing? We're getting on this boat. Wow, that's so big. Where we go?" And the what the scent is and the feeling is the released particles from one's person that has been so compacted for years and years and years that it creates additional layers onto the floor that look almost as smooth as stone. But if you know what that's
Mhm.
is, again, it is
That's
the
right.
remains of, so,
Yes.
and just taking that in, and yes, seeing this, the small spaces, and how, if someone if they were upset at someone and they wanted to sort of make them pay, they just close them up into a room with very little light for most of the day, tiny little space that maybe there's a peak of light, but talk about solitary today.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
mm-mm. Whole different ball game.
One thing I appreciated, and I'm not sure if you guys um, noticed it while we were there. There were some Caucasian brothers, sisters, but I appreciate the tour guides there because it's almost like they told them like you can't go in the same time with our folks, and I really appreciate that sensitivity
Yes.
because
Yes.
you have to be sensitive around that, and I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Even the gentleman who did the tour for President Obama was there the day that we were there.
Right.
Um, just so gracious, like they are gracious people. So that
Mhm.
was really good. But I appreciated that, we didn't mix and commingle. Like, hey, y'all know me. We ain't gonna be on we ain't gonna be on tour together. The first thing you say. But I certainly appreciate it. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful, definitely a beautiful experience, and one that we don't take lightly. I know one reflective moment that I had that was very confusing, and I actually had a whole separate conversation. And shout out to Brother Kwame Asante, who I'm going to make sure he sees this. I literally had to come back and say, no, I have to talk about the educational perspective of what we saw. Now, um, you have to help me remember exactly where we were. I remember there were these huge mangrove trees. Remember, we were standing and taking pictures
Yes.
with these mangroves with these tall, like long beans. I don't remember exactly where that was, but
Don't make me make up a place. I know what you're talking about. Well,
Wasn't that was the place that we went to after W.E.B. Du Bois's um
yes.
it may
That,
have been. It may have been. But what was so incredible was when we were leaving, there was a group of students
yes.
mhm.
who were coming in. Two things. So there was a group of students coming in. Sorry, a group of students coming in. Actually, when we were in the dungeon, there were a group of students who were coming in, like as we were leaving. And then when we were outside of Du Bois's house, there was also a group of students. And it amazed me because I actually stopped and I talked to, let's say, the one of the teachers, and I asked the question. I said, like, what grade is this? And I think it must have been middle school, maybe high school. And I asked them, so what part do they know? And when I told them who we were, they were fascinated, like, oh, you're a teacher in the States and da da da. And I said, well, is this field trip like something that is common? And they said no. Like so how can I make it clearer? What we were learning by coming there is the same thing that they were learning while they were coming there.
Right.
And that's what shook me. And the brother, Kwame Asante, my cousin from, another family line, he said, yeah, even though they are there, in essence, they get the same, they get the same curriculum that we do. How about that? That's what blew my mind.
Yeah.
That's what blew my mind. I did not understand that. So I had to have a whole conversation about that. And then the children, again, that were coming like on their little school field trip to Du Bois's house, same thing. I was like, what do they learn about the country that they are in? And in essence, they don't really talk about, like, the fact that there was people taken, like, they're part of their extended family members, let's call it like that, taken to another place. Like, they heard about it, but they don't hear about it until much later in their education. And It's like the one drop, just like we get the one drop, and it's kind of like passed over. So I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, who explains to them how their extended family members are in other countries? They don't talk about it. I said, ooh, I think if I would ever have to write a book, it'd be about that. It would be about that. How are they doing this? What are we doing? So what were your thoughts about seeing the younger people?
Yeah, that's what I understood. I can't think. I have a picture, and it says because the place it was under construction. So I had a picture of the World Peace Bell because that was also in that same uh, vicinity, and I was really surprised that that they did not learn from what we were told, right? I was very surprised, and they were smaller kids, but I was glad that they were going because at least they got to go. At least they got to see, touch, feel, right? And that's more than our kids get to do here. So
Yeah.
I was like, that's good. That's a start. So that's a start.
It was very, I was just hurt. I was hurt because I didn't. Again, here it is. I'm traveling, literally across the world to see. And some people like, oh, I'm going back home. And unfortunately, there are some of our elders who would say, I love the people in my family, but some members of my family were like, they ain't your family. You don't know where you from. And they don't, you think that you're trying to be like all African and they don't even want to be African. Like, they trying to be American. I'm like, wow. Man, colonization is really, really deep, but that's a whole conversation for a different day. My point is, I did not understand and could not wrap my head around how the education of the people who are right there, basically, they said it. We know all about England. What? We know about England. We know about like the EU. We know about sort of geographical things, but their own history, like, at least we Americans, excuse me, we people who live in America, we know about our constitutional, but they didn't know a whole lot about theirs, and I was just shocked. So, let's say maybe this will be our last topic, and the last bath. Do you remember that? I think that was very emotionally triggering.
The last bath.
Which actually, I think if we did this again, it would probably tell the last bath and then go do the dungeon. But let's maybe wrap up with the last bath. So who wants to like start chatting about that?
I like what they are doing there, right? Because it felt like a place to let go of some hurts, to forgive, right? to be freed from if you carried anything as a result of what our ancestors endured, to have a moment to reflect and be able to let some things go in that water, right? So that's what I took away from there. Um,
So maybe let's give a little backdrop. So Asin Manso is the let's call it a neighborhood. It's not really a neighborhood, but it was let's call it a neighborhood, and it was the gathering place for people who were taken from Cape Coast, Cape Coast of, let's say, all the tributaries. If you think about tiny little rivers, all the tributaries of trails of Africans who were captured along the way and gathered up at little posts, they all came down these tributaries and they ended up in Asin Manso, which was, as is known as, the last bath. So, however many days, weeks it took for them to get their own from their own villages and places of their residence to the ship, they stopped at this place, Asin Manso, and they literally had an opportunity to go into the river in order to cleanse themselves before they took the last long walk, which then took another couple of days because it took us 3 hours, 4 hours, maybe
yep.
4 hours to drive from Cape Coast to Asin Manso. And in order to go get their last bath, their last refreshment, and then pit stop, and then go to the ship, go to the dungeon. And so the moment was, we go, we visit, we see, and it's a very kind of narrow path, very interesting. It's a narrow path, and then you go kind of up a little walkway, and then you go down into a really big brook, but the brook emptied out into a river. And God bless the spiritual guidance and confidence that Richard Honeywell had and has. Again, this is my second time going through this, of taking us there and almost like having this cathartic moment. And so the tour guide, very, very skilled brother, who gives us the information and then kind of sort of leaves us to like a moment that Reverend Rich guided us through. And he said, everyone can go off into their own spots. You had to be very careful because the rocks were slippery, and we weren't trying to go drag somebody, back up the river, which was real because I know I got stuck. But we all kind of found our own little moments, and he gave us like a thought prompt. What he said, so we came here with some thoughts. We came here with some sort of things on our back. Leave them here.
Yes.
Let the river, I love moments like that. I love moments where people can take you through a guided imagery or a guided practice or a guided meditational moment and have you release, let go, whether it was something personal, whether it was something that had to do with a trip, whether it's something that had to do with work, family, whatever. And they used the water as the tool. And they said, you see that it gathers here, but then it washes away and it goes out, into the ocean, like almost like the sea of forgetfulness.
Yep.
Right.
And we all had our moments, and everyone sort of like turned their back on each other because they were trying to have this personal moment. And some of it, I don't even remember what happened, but I know I was the last person back to the group because I was letting go. I was like, But to be in that water, and you knew that was the last opportunity for all of the people who were shifted and transferred to release all that they had on them, to prepare them for that next step in their journey. And they didn't even know where they was going.
They didn't have a clue. Not a clue.
And it was similar with us. We know that we came there. We knew that we carried things with us. And we had an opportunity to just let go and let it be released. And those of you who don't know, scientifically, the same water that was on the earth at the beginning of time is the same water that we have today. When I explained that to my students, they always like, So you mean we're drinking the same water from like thousands, millions of years ago? Yeah. So if you kind of internalize that, I'm like, child, this is the same water that my ancestors done cleaned themselves off with. Just looking at that, it's a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
A beautiful moment. We all came back up, just feeling lifted. I don't want to say lighter because I don't want to give a color item.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
relieved and like
Mm-hmm.
Just having a little sense of hope, a little more like, like we're gonna be all right in the midst of the chaotic world we live in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we cannot wait. We can't leave. We have two more things to talk about, and that's the Ashanti Kingdom. So Sankofa, the Queen Mother.
We didn't do the Queen Mother.
So we went through. The only sort of that was supposed to be
Meet
something
the
she
Queen
actually was here.
Right.
She was in New
Right.
York.
She was here in Brooklyn. Right.
We were there. But just seeing like the golden stool and hearing about Sankofa and hearing about the Ashanti Kingdom, and her victory against Europeans, who she led the fight, bold sister, like other Queen warriors, and having just again we were like going through the village where the marker of where she led the fight. That was just a powerful thing to see. And we should probably we could either wrap up with the Kente village. We definitely have to give one last shout out to to Professor John with the Proverbs to live by.
Yeah.
So, Brother John, this is for you.
Yeah.
And also with John, everything just aligned itself in decency and order. It just did. When we went to the brother's home,
Brother Al,
and he made food for us.
Fufu was on
Fufu.
That was more food than we were gonna ever eat.
Ever.
That intimacy was I don't know, unmatched.
I gotta tell you, the meals in each place, like it was so well planned out.
Yeah.
It was so well planned out. And it just was, oh my goodness. It just really just satisfied more than just your natural being.
Yeah.
It was just it just did something for your soul. Like it was really, really well thought out, well planned, well prepared. It just, and that was at each location, right?
Yeah.
But in this space, in Brother Al's home, and Coach.
Right. Oh yes.
Coach.
Right?
Ibram, our driver, and his wife that made us dresses overnight.
Overnight. And not one, each of us had two something.
Right. So can I say now, those people who know me and who see sometimes the things that I wear, and they'll ask me, "Oh, where'd you get this from?" And so I had about four. I think I had like 4 pieces that were made. If you want to see somebody who can literally take a stitch or something and turn it into a ball gown, go give it to that sister. Okay. Literally, he drove us to, and we would say, I'm saying in Brooklyn, we went to some hole in the wall. God bless this husband and wife team. Went into this space. We brought this fabric from the market. Some pieces we even didn't get from the market, but that she had right there. Y'all took our measurements, and literally, it was in the afternoon. Remember, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that.
Yep.
By the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning. Again, there were 5 of us. Each one of us, as he said, had about 2 or 3 pieces. I have 4 things made with ruffles, with zippers, with buttons and thing. Child.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to quit and just give a little show of
Oh,
just one.
you brought one? I was actually gonna wear one and I didn't. Oh my gosh, yes.
And now that you're saying it, I should have. So this is the 2-piece, right?
Wow.
Yes.
Let
And
me
it was
borrow
like,
that.
you need to do a fitting. Like we put the item on was like, how we gave you the measurements, but you know how you have to get like a fitting for certain things?
She did the design herself.
Yes.
That's
Oh
my
yes,
favorite
I
one.
loved that.
That's my favorite one.
Another 2-piece.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that. I loved that. Excellent. So yes, we got dressed up, we got made up, we got our whole emotional wellness and womanhood training from small, Auntie Agnes. We got Proverbs of the day. Child, I ate some food for. I keep telling you. we slept well. We had the waves in our ears. We had our emotional connection with our ancestors. However it is that you want to cut. I don't think any person of however you define yourself in your Africanness. If you want to roll with the one drop rule, if you want to roll with I know my great grandparents was from whatever part of the Caribbean, the continent, whatever degree that you want to align yourself with. Again, make it your pilgrimage. At some point in your life, you can go to Europe, you can go to France, you go to Italy, and I'm saying that because there's some people who are watching. I just had this conversation with them. But take yourself there. Whether or not you identify as being of the diasporic people, you cannot go and not feel a twinge in your spirit
Yes.
of connection.
Yes.
Whether you want to say, as some people down in the southern parts of these regions, that certain things didn't happen, weren't true, it wasn't that bad. Well, yeah, okay. I'm feeling like Roland Martin. Shout out to Roland Martin. Feeling like a little Roland Martin. Take yourself there.
Yes.
And just listen and just feel and inhale and allow your being to be impacted and influenced by what you see. Because the mind trip is that everything that you see on television or in newspapers and magazines, when you actually see it, I thought this was something, quote unquote, that somebody took a picture of 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years ago. When you actually see the people, let's say when you're driving down, quote unquote, the main highway, you see people, literally selling their wares and stuff with stuff on their head, not letting one peanut fall off the head. Okay.
Not a one.
That part. When you see people walking around and, like the babies on their back, which is always like such a beautiful, for me, it's a beautiful image. When you see people in the market and like selling all their wares and not, they're concerned about, making money, but they also have like a child. If you buy it or if you don't, watch.
You're muted.
Sorry.
You're muted again.
Here we go. Okay. Sorry. When you see all of that, it's such an amazing, I don't want to say it's a bone touching.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot go and not feel moved. And I'm not saying don't go and thinking, oh, I'm just going to go and it's going to be depressing. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not depressing at all. It's invigorating.
Yeah.
The words that will pop into your head is resilience, strength, endurance, victorious.
Mm-hmm.
If they can do it, sure enough, I can do it.
Mm.
That's what most people come with. I can't see people not coming away with any of those adjectives in their head.
Yeah. It definitely makes you see the strength of a people,
of a people.
our people, right?
Yeah.
You see the strength.
And I have to say, having this experience over 50, I really, really must say, I regret not going sooner and not taking my kids when they were younger. Because I believe in my heart that if our children are able to touch the continent and able to have that experience, we're coming back different. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't come back the same.
Yeah.
You don't come back the same. And our children come back empowered, believing they could do anything. And it's a game changer.
Yes.
I think it is a game changer for our children because our children could say, maybe I'm not from maybe my people are not from Ghana. Maybe they from Senegal, right? Maybe they from Nigeria. I don't know where they from. But that's where I went. That's the experience I had. And I know we some bad mamma jammas. I know that.
Yes.
Okay? I know y'all miss
Yes.
this
Yeah.
Weinstein and the everybody else. Y'all not telling me what I can't do.
Right.
You cannot tell me what I can't do.
Right.
And it also gives you a better appreciation uh, for what we have. So, of course, this is
Mhm.
my fourth trip to the continent, second trip to Ghana. I always come back and I'm more conscientious of, let me only buy the food that I need for the day. Why do I have all this other stuff and it's just like, let's say, me and two other people in the house? Why?
Right.
Or am I
Right.
oh, so wait, here's the sister. Am I planning to go back soon? Child, hit me in the DM to find out what we doing in 2024. I'm just saying, I want y'all to come with me. I ain't gonna tell y'all here now, but all right.
Mhm.
But I mean, I'm more conscientious of what I purchase in terms of food. I'm more conscientious of saying, oh, I don't like this top anymore. I'm gonna I won't toss it, but I'm gonna give it away. Like, no, you really can. You can live with less. Not that you have to live as a pauper. Nobody's saying that, but
Mhm.
you don't have to have all of this stuff just to prove a point.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Because you see how your people them,
Mhm.
and it's again people. We're not saying people live in huts. We're not saying that, but what they appreciate and what they do with what they have, how they grow their own food, or how they make like the 100 in the cookbooks to say like 101 ways like cook chicken, right?
Mhm.
Like 85 ways to use yam, from like a hair wash to a
Yeah.
making stuff on the side of your house to then eat it. Like it's astounding. It's
Yeah.
astounding how resilient, how creative we
Yeah.
are. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
um,
And it makes me check my colonized self. But you couldn't tell me I'm not.
I love it.
Hey, I'm that girl. I'm from Brooklyn. I love my people. I'm no matter how crazy they are. But when you go there, you realize how we have been impacted by this world that we have grown up in, and
Mhm.
some of our own entitlement stuff too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah.
Proverbs. Who
I don't
remembers?
remember any of them. What you got?
Oh man, I was hoping they all did. All I had was Proverbs to live by. I have to I have to say y'all have to go check the YouTube. You have to go check the YouTube because I wrote all of them. I had all of them down on the YouTube and I actually videotaped him saying them,
Saying the proverb.
saying the proverbs on the tour bus. Let me just say that some of the proverbs, because we are adults, hint hint, some of the proverbs make total sense to us, but
Mm,
they may be a little bit like, ooh, not really sure if my children should be repeating this right now. But they are the words to live by that we learn. So we just learn life lessons by parallels to, let's say, living beings. I'll only just say it like that: living beings that we walk and move amongst.
Yeah.
I only say it like that because then I'd be giving away too much information. Okay, so that's that, and I want to end. I had like a top 10 tips to self-care in the air, and this is where we're going to talk about the whole health thing, right? So here are my tips to self-care in the air. I'll say them really quick. Buddy up. Make sure you have your vaccination card in a mobile version and in a paper version. Make sure you carry a backup charger.
Yes.
Make sure you carry your international plugs. Like, have your own set of international plugs. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go Google it. Make sure we talked this at the beginning. Carry on to the plane a change of clothes, really 2 or 3 if you can fit it. Pack smart. Make sure you do priority boarding. TSA and global entry, get you one. Oh, carry your own, let's just say, bathroom tissue. Just
yes.
To pay for like 2 or 3 people. No, okay. Moving on. Carry your own DEET and bug repellent wipes. Oh, I must have been. You guys wrote this. This is not my handwriting. Y'all, we passed this around and everybody wrote down what they wanted. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, road ID. What's road ID? I didn't write that.
Road ID. That's one of mine.
Oh, what does that mean?
Road ID. It's like you can get Road ID. Road ID is really a brand, but I wear it when I run. But it clamps onto your sneakers, or it comes like in a bracelet. Maybe like it looks like a medical alert thing. But you put your name. You put whatever's important, like who to contact, blood type. Mine says my blood type, and it has 2 emergency contacts.
Oh, love it. Okay, road ID. Get it. All right. Pack Benadryl and bug bite spray. Okay. Oh, here's something really interesting. The screenshot of your itinerary. Mm-hmm. Take a screenshot of your itinerary.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe, now these days we could probably say make a QR code of your entire itinerary. Mm-hmm. So, and then it's available on your phone. So if anybody catches you on the road, whatever, where you supposed to be or what you do, you got lost here. This is where I'm supposed to be, who my tour guide is, all of that. Mm-hmm. Good. Pre-weigh your bags. Moving on. Because you got to have the bag.
You're traveling with some good people that don't mind helping you out.
That was me.
Yes.
That was me. That was me. Okay.
That was good.
And then if you're trying to, so people who know me know I do like the KLF. We'll just leave that alone. But the KLF, you can actually come to the airport with your little morning beverage, sans the water, and not get checked. So what I did is I took, quote unquote, my water bottle. I had cut slices of lemon. I put my little, I put my stuff in there, right? My cayenne, my olive oil, my ACV, and then I let it soak in slices of lemon. So in essence, when they ran it through, all they saw was like some lemon slices in the water bottle, but there was actually stuff soaked in there.
No.
When I got to the other side, I filled it up with the water and I had my little morning drink. Child, listen, I'm gonna have like a whole little video on how to self-care in the air. Mm-hmm.
Or you can bring a frozen bottle of unopened water.
That's why these are my new friends. Get you some new friends. Mm-hmm. Oh, and a conversion chart as a screen snip in the notes section. Got it. Okay, now I understand what that is. Because, it's, metric to was the other one? What do we do? Standard?
We
Standard
do.
versus metric?
We don't do metric. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Right. But everything there is metric. Like everything there
Yeah.
is in grams and liters. We do right. We do ounces and pounds or right ounces and yeah
And
ounces.
remember that the CDs may change from day to day based on the
Yes.
market.
Yes. And right. Like one day, let's say it was 13-1, and another day it was like 10-1 or something like
Right.
that. Like, wait a minute, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So the last thing about self-care in the air is when the first thing that I said was buddy up. We experienced something that you just don't want to see. Keep it short. I think we're in Morocco.
Yeah.
I think we're
I
just
don't believe it.
so we were on one of the flights. On the flight, we're standing on the line, and we literally had bags upon bags upon bags. So yeah, buddy up, because if you packed heavy and your friend packed light, they gonna either charge you or make you get a whole other suitcase. But then you take out a couple of things, stick it in your friend's bag. Look, I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, that was me. And yes, shout out to all the people that I bought shea butter back for, and all the people I bought cloth for. Y'all almost made me get in trouble and get my behind left right in Morocco because I couldn't travel with all this stuff. I had to give it to them. We're standing on the line. Oh my God, we're standing on the line, and the gentleman in front, kind of looks. He just, standing around. Now, it just so happened that one of our teammates, one of our sisters, is an actual medical professional. One of the men, we didn't know him, was standing there, and he literally just. He started doing like this.
Mm-hmm.
You may not be able to see it, but I'm kind of like rocking back. And I noticed, like, why is he gripping the rail? Like he's gripping. And I said, ooh, something about to happen. He's standing with two people who are his buddies, I guess, for the trip. And he literally, the woman is telling him, you have to move the line. You have to move the line. And he's not moving. The airport person started to almost like raise her voice, like, Mister, you. And I said, ma'am, something's not right. At that moment, he literally was holding on, but his body went into, like, it just froze. So he would believe that he was having a seizure.
Yeah.
And because he was so locked on the bar, he was trying to fall, but kind of couldn't fall because he was on it. So we tell the person who we're with, who actually was a doctor, and this is where it got really weird. They try to go help him. We call Dr. G. Hey, she goes into full, I'm a medical person. The airport folks don't want to believe her. We're like, no, she really is a medical professional. She takes over the situation. Yo, I need a wheelchair. Hey, somebody call, not like quote unquote 911. Where's the medical staff? And we're all like, please go do what she said. Please go do what she said. They're moving slow. I'm sorry to say, they move slow. They wheel a person in the back. In essence, they just ask the person, hey, are you okay? And he's like, yeah. A couple of a half hour later, they wheel him back out as if everything was fine. And we said, his friends, this is the thing. If you're traveling with people and you have a health issue, please tell your friends what the health issue might be, where your medication is, who your emergency contact people are. Let them know, because the people that he was with were like, well, we don't know. And he'll be all right. Child, let me tell you something. I was a snitch. I will be a snitch again. I was a snitch. He went onto that plane and didn't say anything to anybody. Didn't say anything to the airline staff. I was a snitch. I
She did.
Because y'all weren't going to stop no plane in the middle of us being on a 9-hour flight.
Playing with us.
To a person and nobody at least know. So I went to, I said, wait, is that man getting on our plane? And we didn't know. We'll sit down and we're like, well, maybe he's gone. Sure enough, he's still on our plane. Oh man. So I'm looking at the guy and I'm like, because he saw that I was trying to be helpful. And I was like, trying to say, like, you okay? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, we get on the plane. I got on first, or we got on first. And I said to the flight staff, listen, there's a man on the plane who had a health emergency, and he's going to be on this plane. And it looked like he was having a seizure. I just want you to know. So they're like, really? Who is it? So I'm sitting there like this, and I'm like, they look. They're like, really? I said, I said, but say nothing. They went over there like, sir, like, you're okay? And he's just thinking that's a random check. And he's like, yeah. And they're like, are you sure? They asked the friends, is he okay? And then he kind of figures out, who told? And I was like, doo-doo-doo. And then I had to walk past him on the plane, and I gave him a look. You're right. And he didn't speak English, so I was like, But then they paid more attention to him, and they kept checking on him. I'm like, no, you are not taking this plane down because you won't ante up about the fact that, hey, it's okay, but where's your medication?
Yeah.
The friends didn't know nothing. Oh, you're fine. The man almost passed out.
Right. Oblivious.
So yeah, when you go travel, if you're traveling solo, again, like Tony said, have the little ID. What did you call it?
Road
ID. Have you wearing a medical alert? But please don't cause drama for other people. When you get, it's not like it was we say the health field. You're not exposing your colon, but just let people know this is what may needs to happen. If we can have an entire campaign about the no peanut zone, because people are allergic to peanuts, let somebody know that there might be something that goes down, and hey, this is what the next plan of action is.
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah.
So,
yes,
disposable.
You know, the other FYI,
yes,
in the Moroccan airport, we went through the initial checkpoint. Then when it was time to board the plane, if you bought any liquids or anything, they did second checkpoint. And they were making people throw out their stuff. If it was water, anything liquid. Some people bought perfumes at the gift shops and stuff. They were making them throw it out after we done went through the first initial checkpoint.
Right. And it was only a couple of feet. It wasn't like we went through another room.
Right.
Didn't you just see me walk? I came, 30 feet, and you're going to ask me the same question again. What?
Do not buy anything that you want to take home in the Moroccan airport. I don't know if that was because of I can't even think of a reason. Like, why would that have been? That they, like, right there after we were already through the initial checkpoint and everything. I've never seen that before. So,
but just familiarize yourself with their protocols, because you're not home. Like I said, you can breathe in the frozen water. That's over here on this side. I ain't bringing no frozen water from that side. I'm not gonna do that. So know what the rules are, and it's important because here usually we could carry a 50-pound bag, but maybe there's a 45-pound bag.
Right.
So it's important to know the protocols of different countries
and
airlines.
Yes.
I love you all. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the people who watched live on the multiple platforms and who keyed in. Sister Karen, I love you. And just check with me, okay? Check with me. Just, look, folks, get your passport ready. It's time to get it stamped. It's time to get it stamped. We back outside. People is flying and going everywhere and anywhere. Take a trip to the continent. That's the bottom line. Take a trip to the continent. If you can, get your coins together, go to Ghana, see it for yourself, experience it for yourself, eat, drink, have a great time, get some great stories, see some beautiful people, beautiful people that look like you just saw them on Bedford Avenue. Yeah. Like you just saw them down on Fulton Street. Like, didn't I just see you? Didn't I just see you? Because the gene pool is so thick and beautiful. It's amazing. So I want to wish my two sisters well. Tony, I'll see you. I may see you at the theater. Marvina, we're going to have to get you down here.
Yes, yes.
And to my other sisters who I know are going to see this, who missed this, Dr. G, we love you dearly. Brother John Hutchinson of Sludge Tours, we give you much thanks and praise for being such an amazing host. Brother Al,
yes,
it was amazing. To all the seamstresses and the tailors who made us look fabulous, to Auntie Agnes, I'm going to make sure that she is shouted out as well, to the people at Blue Beach. Thank you for your hospitality. To all those who made this journey amazing, and to the memory and the great work and talent and expertise of Richard Honeywell of African Journeys.
yeah.
We thank you. We say Asante Sana. We say Medasi. 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 We love you dearly. We are thankful for your effort, for your talent, for your creativity, and for your pushing the envelope and making sure that people reconnect with their faith through culture.
Yes.
In the diaspora, we send you all the best that we can. We are much more better people. Say that wrong, but we're much better people as a result of knowing you, growing with you, and being taken on these amazing journeys with you. So
yes,
we wanted to say that.
Absolutely.
All right. So peace and blessings, everyone. Thank you so much, Sister Karen. Yes, peace, doves of peace. I think that's what they are, right? If anyone does have any, yes, sleep in peace, Brother Richard. Sleep in peace. We are really better people as a result of you. So, for those of you who are interested in, because we extended our visas to go to Ghana, more times. I know I did. So, DM me. We really want to say that we had an amazing time. Please go and have it yourself. Share it with someone else. You can even share this video, with other people. And in the description is going to be the link to my YouTube page where you can see all of my funny shenanigans about the trip and all the great places that we went to and the times that we had and the different places that we were at. And so you can get an experience yourself. So peace and blessings to Learn to Grow Your Moment, where I plant seeds to help you grow. Please like, comment, and subscribe and share. I'm going to be on, I think, 1 or 2 other times this week. And I'd love to hear if you have any ideas of conversations or investigations that you'd like for me to delve into. Please send it to me the many ways that you can, whether it be DM, YouTube, Facebook, IG, my telephone number. Do that and come join us. So we're just here. We're here to share. Have a good night, and I will see you all on the next go round.
Night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.